Well,
Hey.
hello. Sorry we're late.
Sorry we are late. I had a long day at work and got home a little late, and T was kind enough to let me get it kind of settled in before we get started here. So
He needed to vent. Otherwise, you guys might have seen a different side of him a little bit.
yeah. Let's see what we got here coming up. Hope y'all had a good day. We got a few. I think we're going to try to... It's going to be a quicker show. I got some things for work I got to do. It won't be as long as normal. We'll still probably go for 45 minutes or so.
Speaking of the show,
Mhm.
we are the
yeah.
voice of college
Good job,
football,
T.
Oklahoma. I'm Tierani.
And I'm Chad. Sorry about that.
Ta-da!
And we stream on Mondays at 7. Again, we're a little late here, but typically Mondays at 7 and 7-ish, yeah. And if you can make it, if you're try to tune in with us, if you're someone who's continuously watching or consistent, we really, really appreciate it. Yeah, that means a lot that you guys will take time, or you all will take time to watch our show and kind of the stuff we sort of put together. There's been some news, obviously, with the defensive coordinator spot. Some of it probably not encouraging to a lot of people. Tina and I are going to talk about that. We're going to talk then. I think we have some basketball gymnastics again.
Maybe
if we have to, yeah. And we have some, just I guess general news. Other than that, we're going to start looking. And if you guys have any ideas for segments that you'd be interested in seeing us do, or interested in just anything like that,
anything.
Yeah, let us know. We're open to really any kind of suggestion. But starting with that, T, obviously there was some news with Jim Knowles, and with him going to Penn State and not Oklahoma. What is your opinion on that? What did you think of the whole situation, or just in general?
So, man, it's just like, maybe because I'm just so not get your hopes up or have an opinion until something actually happens type person. I don't think I was devastated. Like, some people are like really upset. But you asked me point blank the last show, but if we do get him, does that really change your opinion on the outlook of next season?
Right.
I said no. I said not really. I was like, now, of course, he's an amazing coach. So, like, why would you not want to, collect all the amazing coaches that there are? And from a Brent Venables standpoint, potentially being able to completely give over the reins. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, defense was never our issue. So it didn't really bother me so much there. Now, I would have been a little more upset if we didn't get Ben Arbuckle necessarily. Like, if given the option,
yeah.
I'm happy with the one we got. Now, again, like I said, if you want to collect great coaches, I love that. But I just like you asked me last week, getting him or not getting him doesn't change my projection into what I think next season could be, and the way that I think getting a Ben Arbuckle would. Because our defense wasn't the issue. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, if it always helps, but what about you? Sorry. No,
I'm listening. I'm kind of just going to be repeating a lot of what you're saying. I think I guess I'm curious what your thoughts are. What do you think the hysteria has been? And obviously we had shout out to Sooner Focus, by the way. He does all our fun thumbnails, and he's fantastic. He's been really, really helpful with that. So if you see him, we try to tag him when we post. If not, then shout out to him and thank him a lot.
So sorry, Sooner Focus. I will be better.
He's awesome though. What do you think the angst comes from with the OU fandom right now?
Okay. Everything is angst and doom and gloom, and even if we make moves, they're not the right moves, and if I think it's just so people, I think it also too, just the hype that happened so quickly, people were like, wow, that's crazy, this could actually happen, that would be cool to add. Just thinking it from the perspective of wanting to be nice to collect more good coaches, not necessarily from the perspective of, now how do I think that actually would change the projection going forward. Mm-hmm. So again, be upset that we didn't get him, but when I think about how much Penn State gave him, mm-hmm. that we can get a lot of really good defensive players for that money. or more wide receivers, whatever, tight end, whatever it is that we're needing. You can get a lot of good players for what Penn State is offering.
Yeah.
Or, allegedly offered Jim Knowles. And so I think it just, I don't know. Now, I was interested. It was interesting is what I should say.
There you go.
I was like, I wasn't necessarily. It was interesting to hear that Jim Knowles actually had approached OU.
Yeah.
Initially.
Right.
So that was a little shocking. And then, I'm like, okay, well, he approached. Did Penn State come after that? Did he approach Penn State too? I mean, maybe, I guess he's from there as well.
Yeah.
But, anyways, just kind of interesting. But, what about you? What do you think that the angst is, besides the fact that's just how we are as a family?
No, yeah, for real, no joke. I think you're 100% right. I'm not. I guess I'll start by saying that when the news came out, and we had talked about it last week, obviously I had my tweet I sent out where I said, look, that's a great deal for Knowles. Whoever his agent is fantastic. I think he has the same agent as Nick Saban and all the Tier 1 coaches and even, I think, talent in TV.
That agent makes a lot.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure I'm sure he's not struggling. And when it was announced, I thought it was an interesting idea. I never thought it was this OU's has to get this hired to show that they can still get the big names. Ben Arbuckle was that guy for me. Yeah. And it kind of like you just said, he was the guy that I thought, if we don't get this, it'll be maybe a poor reflection of the optimism for OU's football program and where the country writ large sees us heading. I think for OU fans that are more tuned in to the everyday news that breaks, I think they were more upset and had a more negative view of him going to Penn State than I think the national media did, or maybe people that aren't as tuned into OU. Listen, first off, I mean, spade is spade. Penn State's not, I'm taking this line from you, it's not Houston. It's not like he went somewhere that has no history tradition, and he almost got, $3.5 to $4 million? I think around 3.5.
That's a lot of money.
We'll round that up to $4 million though, just to make it sound even better for But I just wasn't. It was never something where I thought if this doesn't pan out, it is a break the glass kind of deal for OU, because we have a guy that's considered better as our head coach, and you're going into a year where we have the biggest benefit our defense has is the experience returning. Plus, they're very talented, but the experience that's returning. That experience is somewhat negated and diluted if you bring in a coach that has a different system or has a different philosophy. And for me, I'd never wanted that to come in. So when I heard about Knowles, I thought, well, good if he's position coaching. You always want good instruction and good coaching. But I never was someone who thought that, man, there is this you got to have a mentality with Jim Knowles. That is not. I never had that. And it'd be one thing if I was saying this before, if we weren't saying this beforehand. But you can go back to our tweets when it was sent out. You can go to our episodes the last couple of weeks when this was brought up. I never really was sold that it was going to be a thing that happened. And I'm not saying he's a great defensive coordinator, but at Oklahoma we didn't need to spend almost $4 million, almost 3/4 of what you're paying. Yep, almost. Well, what would it be? It'd be 5. Anyway, it's not more important. 4/6 of what you're paying Brent Venables to get an assistant defensive coordinator when you already have one. I mean, that's like a Sarkisian at Texas needing the best offensive coordinator that money can buy. Mm-hmm. Like, he's the one running that offense. Mm-hmm. A Lincoln Riley at USC type of thing. And so for me, it was, it was not this diehard, you got to have it thing. And then I called my dad because I was curious what his thoughts were because, defensive coordinator for years. And
we feel like every time you mention your dad, we need to mention in case for anyone who's new.
Because everyone, right.
That
because,
was a defensive coordinator at
over 30 years.
Every level except for the NFL.
Yep, every level except the NFL. Yep. And he's always said, now maybe there's differences of opinion. He always thought that it's easier to be the head coach DC because of how you can game plan and how you can call a game, because that it doesn't switch as much each week because you have your base defense that you play, and you play. He always says you play defenses. You play defense. My bad, not defenses. Right, you have a base that you play, and you have a style you play, and then you fit that to the team you're about to play, the offense of the team you're about to play.
Right, and how you can get the offense to fall into your trap, essentially.
And imagine you have And imagine you have all that figured out. Your backside safeties are starting to get the calls down. They understand their fits. Your linebackers are understanding their fits. All of that. And I'm not saying Knowles would have changed a lot of that, but it just adds a layer of unfamiliarity.
It potentially could have.
Exactly.
It's like the first year that Brent Venables was here. We saw the confusion on the defense. Mm-hmm. They were better, more physical, but we clearly saw the confusion. So we didn't want to revolt.
You're good.
We didn't want to go back to that. I'm just not even going
to. I'm right here with you. Yeah.
We just didn't want to go back to that. Yeah. And so, and also, I think when we were talking about the whole DC thing anyway, when Zach Alley left, I said, I was like, I'm pretty much fine with Brent Venables running the defense and just completely giving the offense to Ben Arbuckle and doing it that way. Like, don't even have a hand in the offense. Let him do all that, and then you run the defense. It's like, because why not? Or potentially hiring, I guess, to me would have been hiring an internally who's somebody who does know the system already, but you're still technically in charge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of thing. Somebody did mention, like, some of the angst coming from people just wanting to get the DC thing done. Just wanting closure.
Someone said it's kind of hard to hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Is that better?
Can y'all hear me better?
I
get nervous because I use my hand, so
you said
I
that's it. Yep.
Whack.
Yeah. Keep them down below. We need to get like a training thing. I do the same thing.
Darn.
All right, but they said it's good now. You're good.
I got confused.
So I probably distracted you. Sorry about
that.
Nugget? That's the greatest thing. My mom says sugar, too, instead of, the other S word, which is fantastic.
I work with kids, so I find just different random words to say whenever I'm frustrated or I get hurt.
Yeah.
There's been times kids have, like, poked me in the eye, and I'm like,
she's come back with, like, scrapes on her arm and stuff, too. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun. Darn it, what was I saying?
Someone in the chat remind us if you remember.
Okay.
Here we go.
They're just wanting to get things done. So, to me, a lot of the angst is, like, a lack of closure, if you will. And maybe I'm a very anxious person. Naturally. Extremely anxious. But for me, I don't have that like I was with the OC. I was anxious with the OC. Like, I'm like, this is do or die for me. But when we lost our DC, my immediate thought was just Brent Venables will run it.
Right.
Period. Like, I didn't need a closure. Not to say that we don't want, if we get another big name, that's, great, fine, whatever. But it just wasn't that. It wasn't so open-ended for me. I just couldn't get over it. Or I cared so much as I did the OC. I feel like the OC, every 5 minutes, I was updating every app humanly possible.
Had this been a Lincoln Riley offer and you needed a defensive coordinator, it was the one thing that was lacking in your entire tenure, is that you never had one. And we lost out when it was the need you had. I would feel more like I would feel about the Arbuckle situation.
Yeah.
I would say, this was a must-hire. And the reason I think why it bothers me so much is because I see, again, it goes back to when I hear people that, go on these national TV shows and they talk about the Sooners and they just talk about them like we didn't have the biggest injury issues of any team that's ever existed. And that was just that what you saw was the talent of OU. And when you do that, you're selling Oklahoma short, and also you're making them look way worse than what it really was. So now it's also, you talk about bad optics. That's bad optics, and it's also untrue optics.
What's ironic to me, it's the same people that are saying, wow, could Oklahoma really be this bad? How not mentioning the injuries, are the same people who predicted us to go 6-6 anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it just, to me, it's contradictory. It's like, we expected more from Oklahoma. I'm like, did you when you predict us to go 6-6? Like, that doesn't make sense. And we did that with a depleted roster.
Exactly.
So imagine if, we weren't depleted. But we've already said that a million times.
Well, yeah. Well, but it just goes back to, I think that, there were, the Knowles stuff was, I think a lot of people just wanted, and I saw like people call this like, it was a big like a Mike Tyson hook to the bot. Honestly, it broke, and I thought, oh man, well, cool. It would have been cool to have him, but
or somebody used the shoved in the locker. I'm like, Penn State, someone who made the playoff and who is.
But also, I'm sorry, it's a hire Oklahoma didn't need. I thought it was dumb to offer him $3 million, but $4 million when you have. I think that the benefit Jim Knowles brings is less than the benefit more talented players out of the portal would bring if you can get them on OU. Maybe that's the simplest way I could put it. And here's the thing: that would be you could maybe people could poke fun at that or something if I wasn't consistent in saying that.
Yeah.
If I was someone saying,
you're like a flip-flopper.
Jim Knowles is going to be the answer. Oklahoma's there's no chance he's not at Oklahoma. He is this guy. And then I was after ex post facto saying, it's not a big of a deal. We didn't need him. Oklahoma doesn't need him. No, I said to begin with, he is a great coach. He is not someone that you just had to have
this year.
And I'm not trying to degrade him. He's a great offensive coordinator. I just think we have one of the few guys that's better at calling plays. And for me, it is an issue of do you want someone who is unfamiliar with Venable's system and the players that they have that are already understand that the terminology, what's going on, and bringing that in just because he's a good coordinator. I don't think you have to have that. I mean, I agree. I didn't think it was a good move.
For you guys in the chat, given the option, I mean, I know we have Arbuckle right now, but if we hadn't made the hires yet, which one would have made the bigger difference to you? But having Ben Arbuckle or having Jim Knowles? Just curious to see you guys' takes as well. But to me, it just was a no-brainer. Like, we needed an OC, and we needed a amazing OC. Like, we needed the OC hire.
And it's really like I'm trying to figure out a good analogy for it, because I don't want it to sound like we're bashing Jim Knowles, like he's not a great DC. It's not that at all. It's just that he wasn't for Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's in a very unique position that they have a head coach that's better, as good. I mean, who's better? Who knows? It's all just subjective. But there are maybe 5 in the country that you could say are the elite tier, and Venables is one of them. Mm-hmm. And we have that already. So and you can go get another DC like a Goodwin or one of them that has familiarity and runs a similar style as BV that he can trust if you want to go that route.
Now, unless it was a situation where the staff wanted him to be potentially like in charge should Brent Venables not be available, because I know he has a lot of stuff in his personal life going on. Yeah. So maybe that could have been it. You had somebody because Ben Arbogle's still a young coach.
Yeah.
So
true.
Maybe that was a situation that like they wanted someone with that experience and who was like truly trusted to potentially take over should he need to be away. True. I hope he never has to be away, because that means his wife's doing well. Mm-hmm. But I think about that from like the sympathy standpoint, I guess.
You're 100% right, and that brings me up. I saw a comment earlier, and I'll try to go find it. But it's we've talked about this too. We're here about Boomer Halen.
We'll try to get to your comments. If you want to ensure that we get to them, we do accept super chats, but we do try to put comments up along the way. But
just when I'm not good at keeping up with them.
Sometimes they get lost quickly. But anyways.
Yeah.
Boomer Halen says
a lot of people want to see Venables fail, and I think this is 100% true.
And I think it's OU fans who want to see him fail just so they can say they're right.
Yep.
Not all OU fans, but they're the ones.
They're 100% right.
Y'all see the comments.
I've made this comparison to myself, because like I'm a Dallas Cowboy diehard fan. I have a you can't see right now, Emmitt Smith Ricky card right up there. Actually, we need to get this thing certified too. That might be worth some coin. Anyways,
I'll sell it.
I've said things about Dak Prescott. I don't think he's an elite quarterback. I think he's like around 20th. I don't think he's that good at all. I don't. I think he's okay. I would rather trade him for a player and then draft another quarterback a couple years from now, based on what I've seen the last 10 years of his career, give or take a year, whatever it is. If he goes out next year and wins a Super Bowl, I will clip my own post. I don't care. I'd be happy you couldn't make me happier. But I think there are people that would rather OU just not be good, so that they can sit there and say, well, look, when they hired him, I was the guy that said in 2022 BV wasn't the answer.
They want to have the big
we should have got, it's like, dude, okay, well, apparently you either don't know how to market your skills enough, which is in its own form a miracle about how bad that would be, because you just can foretell the future and just don't tell anyone about it, or you just guess and you've worked out that way, and to the detriment of the university you apparently love. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I just don't get why that is a almost like it's a wish for some people just to have that happen.
Right. No, I agree. And I don't know. We all love being right. Who doesn't love being right? Who doesn't love making that call? Like, who doesn't, not saying that's not the case, but you and I are pretty good about, like, if we're wrong, we'll admit we are wrong. Or, like, if we get proven wrong, we're like, oh, yeah, well, I'm wrong about that one. Right. So it does blow my mind that it does seem like people would rather see your own team fail just to sit back and have that pride of, see, I told you so.
You're right.
See, I was right. Everyone else is so dumb and I'm smart. Like, my faceless, nameless on Twitter. I'm just smarter and better than everyone, but I can't even show my face and name. If you're that smart and you're that good at what you do, show your face, show your name, let everybody know.
Yeah.
Put your resume out there, Anyways.
The point of getting... Bagman said the point of getting a premium DC like Knowles was so BV can have someone he can for sure trust, so he can be a CEO. He still has to figure out how to not be a terrible game manager. Game management, there are books written about game management. It has different philosophies. I'll tell you the easiest rules to have for good game management, and they are indisputable and always work. You never call a timeout in the third quarter, with rare exception. And I mean, it needs to be rare. And you never, for the love of all things holy, call a timeout on special teams, or specifically before punt. And I would say a field goal over 45 yards in college, you just go ahead and take the 5 because of the percentages of you making it, because of how much they miss, how common it is. It's like a 3% chance more of a make from 45 to 50 yards. And I swear I see teams call timeouts for punts with like 8 minutes left in the third, and it's idiotic. Also, another little time management key. I should write my own little manifesto on it, I guess. When you're up, you run clock. I don't care if it's the beginning of the third quarter. When there's 10 minutes left, you don't snap the ball with 35 seconds left when you're up by 10 points.
Oh my gosh, I hear you.
You want as least amount of time as you can possibly have.
So much in games. So much I hear him saying this. And I'm to the point now where I'm like actively watching.
It's so stupid. It's dumb. It's just, you don't need to be.
No, it's for sure. It's the same with basketball. Like,
right, yeah.
When you're up, with exceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma high school basketball doesn't have a shot clock. So I know we ran clock a lot in high school when we had leads because we could. Also because we were embarrassing people a lot of times. So we tried to not do it so much. But anyways, I mean, it's the same thing with most sports. Like, you run clock, but you don't become lackadaisical. You just are more intentional with the time that you're using. So no, it's just funny that you mentioned it because now I literally will find myself, I'm like, well, Chad, they snapped it with 15. Oh, Chad, they snapped it with 18 seconds.
It's the high, especially now the third quarter. Okay, maybe but the fourth quarter especially is just, I see it all the time with teams. And then you get to the end of the game and they have 2 minutes left, and it's like, yeah, well, remember when there was 10 minutes left in the game and you were sapping the ball with 30 seconds left on the clock? Mm-hmm. Maybe you shouldn't have done that. And here's a great Stevie G.
Oh no!
Can Chad be the game manager analyst for review? You know what? I can. And here's the thing: I'll do it for a fourth of what you were going to pay Knowles. A fourth. That's probably what, $800K?
Jeez.
You know what?
I can make it work.
For Oklahoma, the university I love, that we've all got degrees from. You see T's nerd self over here. Never made a B in her life, by the way, all 4.0 through all this. It's always backwards, so I can never get this right. I would do it because I love OU that much.
For how much?
I would even negotiate myself down to $500 a year.
Okay, that was my thought.
Now, here's the thing. I also have a full-time job, so I'll need to be only at games. But yes.
No, $500 a year. Sorry, full-time job. He's out.
And to go back to Bagman's point, I don't think it's not a bad point at all. I get the notion behind him being a good CEO and a game manager. The question I think you get into is, at what point does the price become too much? Because again, and this is just your idea too, which is he wasn't a must hire for us. If you have a guy like Arbuckle, maybe you do take that extra money out and you really press to make sure you get him. I'll be honest. I just think inside the coaching staff room, it's like, dude, why
to me, he would have been like, when you want something, but you don't want to pay for it that much. Mm-hmm. But then like somebody gifts it to you, and you're like, dope. It's dope. It's nice to have, but I didn't need it.
Yeah.
It's kind of just how I felt. Christmas just happens. That's just what was on my mind.
There you go. And so, I think in the end of the day, I think Oklahoma's fine. I don't think it's a bad look on us at all, because I'll be honest with you. I think that it was a thing they thought, yeah, if we get him, if he ends up at Oklahoma, we're happy about it.
Yeah.
But we're not sitting here needing it, No. And again, to be fair to us, we were saying this before all this news broke. We weren't one of the people saying...
beforehand, you were just like, it's not happening. So, I don't know why we were talking about it. Then there was some smoke, and I'm like, well...
There you go. And to be I know insiders are getting a lot of heck, right now. To be fair to them, they report what they're told from sources that they have on the team, whoever those are. And they're not, a lot of those sources a lot of times are GAs or their assistants that aren't in the meeting rooms that do, make those decisions. So, I mean, you got to know what you're paying for.
Even some of the media people they are in with the big shots, and they're being told one thing. Especially when it comes to recruiting, they're like, oh, you said that so and so was a sure thing. It's like, yeah, they were, and then on signing day, for whatever reason, they flipped.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's like being a weather person in Oklahoma.
It's the greatest job you can have.
A
storm or whatever. Yeah.
They're not going to intentionally sabotage their own careers and their own sites by putting out terrible information or just So, I mean,
listen, I think that our strength has been defense. I was not, and we can end it on that if you want, but I just was not one of these people that, and you weren't either, that was just really thinking that, oh, this is something Oklahoma's got to get. If not, then it's a shot to what Oklahoma means to the larger community of college football. I don't think it was that at all. There are obviously people that cover the team that disagree with me. I think that is, I don't know, fine, yeah. I don't know why we want to overhype how bad it looks for OU when honestly I don't know if it really does. I wish I could find like a good analogy for it. I don't know really how to break it down into like, or how to say it in a way that just is fitting like in every situation, I guess. But I don't know. It just seemed like icing on the cake for if you will, like on a defensive side of the ball that's already really good.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have some worry about, if we don't get him, am I worried about where our defense is going to go? I think you can hire a guy. And then someone had mentioned, what do we do at linebacker position, linebacker coach? And you had mentioned Skalski as being promoted, being a coach there. And also you hire Wes Goodman, one of those guys that knows how to coach that position. You're good in that way too. So I don't think they're worried about that. I think now you can go out and hire a really, really good assistant.
Now I think maybe all the money that they collected for him again can go to some good players, some additional good players in the portal. Unless I don't know, unless it's like a bond thing where like for schools where like this money has to go here, this money has to go there.
100%.
But
yep. This is so true.
If it doesn't, then fine, great.
The reason he wasn't a good game manager is because he was calling defense. I think he has gotten better since he let that go. True, but he might be. This is my dad, by the way. Say hello to Mr. Paul Smith.
Peace, moot.
Hopefully, if he is calling it next year, or if he gets someone that he trusts to call it, then that'll continue to get a little better. But game management's always tough because it's hindsight 2020. Always, it's always the people that I knew you shouldn't have gone. I knew you should have gone for it there, or I should have called timeout. You shouldn't have ran clock there. You should have done. And it's like the people that say they're always right on should you go for it on fourth down. It's those people.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I knew they shouldn't have. Obviously, they should have gone for it there.
Right.
You shouldn't have kicked that field goal.
Like Chad mentioned in one of our pods that you know what, there should be a rule now before anything happens. You need to tweet what you would have done.
Yeah.
That way, you have proof that you said it, because it's so easy to say after the fact, I wouldn't have done that. Like the going forward in the fourth down for Navy, we were like, I'm fine with it. Like, who truly cares? And then I'm seeing people online go for it. Next thing I know, that same person I just saw tweet go for it. It's like, oh, I knew you shouldn't have go for it, but deleted their previous tweet. I'm like, get out.
Should be a bot. Yeah.
Like, stop.
Well, it should be a federal statute.
Right. And that's not to say, like, objectively, there are times where, like, you could disagree. Like, I know we've called timeouts before, and we've both been like, I think timeouts has definitely been the biggest thing for us. There's never really been many fourth down calls where I haven't been like,
Yeah.
And also, I know they have analytics guys that run the numbers, which analytics doesn't account for vibes.
Coach Freeman has the analytics guy right behind him the entire time the offense is on the field. And when it's a fourth and short, he'll look behind him, and if the analytics say go for it, and then obviously he like feels if he wants to or not.
The vibes.
He'll go for it, yeah. But he says that's why I keep him there, because I want to use the genius of analytics, but also I get there's a human element too.
Yeah, there's vibes. You got to account for that. The energy, the vibes, the momentum.
By the way, the analytics part of it, there's an interesting story about how there's a doorman fallacy in marketing that they talk about a lot. Our light just went out.
This happens far too often. We need to make sure we charge these better.
It was charged.
Hold on. I'm about to put a paper up next to the light.
This is hilarious, by the way.
Oh.
Here, hold on. Everyone, this is called live TV. In my defense, I think it is charged. It's just shorting out.
Oh. Although this light's making this highlighter pop.
Yeah, see, it's charged.
Did you just punch the light?
Yeah, it needed to be punched so it worked.
The old hit method if it doesn't work. Hey. Oh, now we have too much light.
In my defense, it was charged.
I don't set up any of this, so.
Oh,
no.
It has light now. All right.
Now I feel like we're too dark.
We're fine. Back to our point.
Do you need a donation to pay your
electric bill? Yeah,
absolutely. We do. Go ahead. Super chat it up.
That is awesome.
Go ahead.
Actually, I don't think it was charged. It doesn't matter. We were sabotaged. So the doorman fallacy, it's interesting. So Marriott, a long time ago, had a bunch of people come in that were running money. Yes, that were running.
Doorman, yeah.
That were. Where's my pen? Now I lost my pen. I'm.
His flappers are gasted. Where's your pen?
I don't know. It disappeared. So they had a marketing team come in and say, "Hey, we are going to look at where we can cut costs and where we can budget and make the most money." Blah blah blah. And, like hotels, especially nicer ones, have doormen that typically they used to run security back in the day, and they used to make sure all the doors were okay and that, there was nothing going on up and down the halls.
They manned the door.
And now doormen. There you go. And now they are, mostly just seen outside of hotels. Well, marketing team comes in and they say, hey, look, here's how many people are getting in. Here's the doorman, the cost that he is each year. If you just cut all that out, look how much money you would save. That's just extra profit. So a couple of these hotels did it, and their numbers they just cratered, because a lot of people develop relationships with like people that are associated with the hotel or business that aren't really necessary to the function of it, but they provide an extra benefit or they provide an extra experience. And so that's just yeah. So and the point was that especially marketing, you can't just look at numbers. There's also a human element to everything. And so like in the world of analytics, like, yeah, you can look at the statistical probability that something will happen if you go for it, but like Freeman says, he's like, I'd also just know that there's just something about football or sports in general that's not just numbers,
right?
And so just having that human element,
right? Like if you struggled to get yards all game,
yes,
you might not want to go for 4th and 3.
You're right.
Or if you've been getting chunks, why not?
Yeah,
I just simplify that so much, but whatever.
So I think Oklahoma's going to be, I would assume they'd probably have someone hired by next week. I was
thinking like the weather element.
What about it?
Like weather would play into that, like the analytics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was
it's like,
I was thinking about your weatherman
chance
comment.
of going if you go for it here versus kicking a field goal, but like it's pouring down rain or snowing or just windy in Oklahoma. That might account. I don't know.
You guys are Thank you, Boomer Halen. I appreciate that. Also,
and because we forget that they record us and take our voices. Boomer Halen says, I think you guys are doing an awesome job. Very appreciative of what you do.
While we're reading, the irony of reading that, while I forgot that they record this and they asked us to read out all the comments, is just awesome. But that's what you get here. A lot of people would have faltered. They would have just shut down the show. Not us, though. We calmed down. We took a deep breath. We assessed the situation. And
also,
we plugged in our
while
life.
You're here, please like the video. Take the 2 seconds to like it. Subscribe to our channel. Throw a comment if you're feeling extra generous in the comment section. It could be Boomer. It could be You Suck. It could be Chad Fix Your Hair. Tierani Fix Your Hair. Whatever. I don't really care. Just go ahead and put it in the comments. Just comment something. That's great. If you are joining us from Facebook or X/Twitter, whatever we're still calling it. I call it X, but then people tell me Twitter. I'm like, no, it's X. But regardless, come over onto YouTube. Go ahead and join us over here. There is a live chat going, so you can talk directly with us as well as talk to other people in our community. But it's always fun. Just plug that in there.
We're hearing some good things about workouts. There's some Mateer's apparently taking a good leadership role.
My brain went to, we're hearing good things about workouts in the sense of like good workouts for like you and me to do.
Oh.
And that's why I'm sorry. Long day. Continue.
Yeah, but so Mateer's taking a leadership role. It's looked good. Devontae Gibson has impressed a lot of people from what I've heard, and just heard people that read articles, people reporting on the team and whatnot. So I think that there's a lot of excitement for the 2025 season, and I really do think that we're going to be very good next year. I do. I think I'd bet the over of 7 wins all day, but I don't gamble.
We did.
So
my brother said us today that apparently we might have the number 1 ranked hardest strength of schedule with as many as 8 of the teams we play ranked. So that's fun.
Yeah.
Another really tough season, which we already know that. Like just by history alone, I didn't expect a lot of the teams to just, drop off the map and not be good. And then you're adding Michigan over Tulane and Houston that we had last year. So they played us pretty closer than it should have been, but our offense was on life support. And so it's just, it's going to be tough. But if we just had a pulse of an offense this last year, we win more of those games.
Yeah. I'm excited to see us next year. I think we're going to be in a really, really good spot. So we talked about Knowles. We talked about, see if there's anything in the chat that we want to get to in terms of.
Can we get that off?
Electric
Put
bill.
our names back up.
There we go.
Yay!
And so now we got. Do we need donations for the electric bills? Funny. Yeah, sure. If you want to send us some, we could always tag them, but hopefully not anymore. Tell your friends. Tell your family.
Tell your friends, your family, the cashiers at Kroger about the magic that Chad and Tierani, it's weird saying my name, Tierani bring on Sooners live Monday nights. Who needs Swift and Kelsey when you have Chad and Tierani on the voice of college
Now
football?
that is awesome. Thank you,
They
Jackson.
don't, except Swift and Kelsey don't have a problem with the electric bill.
Hey, we don't either. It was charged. No, it wasn't charged. That's a problem. It said it was.
It was a joke.
To CNN light. That's too far of a joke, probably. Let's see. By far the hiring of Arbuckle. Yeah, it was a bigger hire for sure. Would you rehire Brian Odom as linebacker coach since he used to coach here? He recruited Kip Lewis, Colby McKenzie at Oklahoma. Sure. I'm not. I'll be honest. I'm not familiar with what his prospects are right now with coaching. Where he, what he sees, and his opportunities going forward. Just doing a quick, just looking him up real quick. Isn't he at football? Isn't he at?
Caps lock was on. So
I
it
don't
reads
know if
this.
it's gonna roll up.
The first three
He's
letters.
at USC.
Oh,
Yeah.
we had a USC person in the chat.
Linebacker from Mean Green.
Go ahead and let us know how you feel about that.
Yeah, look, there is probably not going to happen, but if we didn't have already someone I thought that you think that could coach the position, I think they're just going to move Skalski or bring in someone from outside and then let BV kind of run the defense on. I think whenever it gets coming up like push to shove, I think that's what they're.
I still laugh so much about how I came home mentioning from the ladies' camp, oh, this guy was my group leader. I don't remember his name, but he was the Clemson linebacker that had some controversial targeting calls. And my brother, my dad, and Chad were all immediately remembered his name and like his number. And then
47.
They were like, dude's a beast. I'm like, how do y'all do that? I have a hard time doing that with like OU people. Like, I'm not good with names.
Oh.
And so it just blew my mind.
I know what else I wanted to talk about real quick.
Rufus.
Yeah.
One of my
I know
top
what else I want
tens.
to talk about.
Yes.
That was a lot.
Sorry.
A little,
I should have slaw.
don't. That makes my skin crawl.
Rude.
Curtis Lofton out. Was at Soul Mission, no longer there.
He was the general.
He's not. He was a general manager. I know, but I think he was involved in Soul Mission and stuff.
He was, but then they recruited him or gave
Yeah,
him
but
the
he's
title of
out.
general manager.
He got announced last week.
Why?
Sometime. I'll be honest. I think it's because I think you need someone that's bought in. I'll just say, I think you need someone that's bought into playing in the gray, being able to just say, we need to pay this player to come here. And I'm not sure that Curtis Lofton, just reading the tea leaves, was all for that. I'm all for, the development of players and doing all that. I also think that you have to have some.
As the soul, that's why we have Soul Mission.
Yeah. And I think you need someone who's in the position as general manager, whose job it is to make sure those deals are done and where to decide where money is allocated. I get where the yearning for the old way of developing talent, young men, leadership, all of that, and that's still important to me. But I think you have to have the kids now on campus, and until it's fixed, the way you get kids on at least the elite talent level kids is you gotta have money, and maybe he felt
where's he going?
The call. He's going to the ministry, I believe. He's in seminary right now.
But
and
he's
going
to go be a preacher? Mm-hmm. That's cool.
And he's going to do that. And, great. Obviously, that's awesome. And there are, I think, just people that, or there are other people, I think, that are going to come in that have more of the NFL type. Like, we got to be getting money, contracts for these players. And maybe that are just more bought into the NIL era, right, where it might not be fitting for everybody.
I could definitely see the, where that would be a disconnect. Because if you're going into ministry, do we not teach that, like, money can be the root of all evil, and you can't love money and God? Like, there's that too. So I could see where, from a general manager standpoint, like you mentioned, it's like, we just got to pay this player. He's got to come. We got to give him the money. Versus like the other, the other way around of like not just about the money, about the development, about the love, and it's just unfortunately changing. So I could see where that would be, and like, ooh, see,
yeah,
down see where that would be. I can't
about around the waist.
I could see where that would be a little bit of a disconnect there. But the ministry, that's a total change of career. But good luck to him.
Someone I mentioned, I think listening to the breakdown, he's supposed to be a placeholder. Probably true. I just think that's probably why they moved on now, is just because that they do. I think they're going to go for it.
No, I will not sit on my hands, Jonathan.
So how to Mark for me. Hey, Mark. If that is Marcus there. Hi, Mark. I think that he is obviously an awesome person, but I'm excited to see who they get in. That's going to be someone who can really push for more NIL deals, more money for the players.
Like you see truly business,
right?
Business as is.
And don't forget, with the new STIT rule, that now all the money that comes in, and this was big, and it was something that Another thing I guess we can talk on real quick. Sorry, I had such a late day and busy day at work. I didn't get to write down a show notes or like an order of the show. We knew we wanted to talk about the DC, so the other stuff is just kind of
honestly what we talked about yesterday being on our show is not what we're talking about now.
Yeah, but it's true.
Next week.
There was oh gosh, I just forgot my thought in the middle of that.
General manager,
DC.
Curtis
Oh, the STIT executive order.
STIT.
So what that allows them to do now is for the university to allocate funds to, no matter where they come from, to athletics. So now Joe C can get money sent to him, and he can allocate it to different sports as he sees fit. But now you have what you have at OU a lot of times is a lot of wealthy donors. They want to donate to the school, but they don't want to donate for pay to play. They just don't want to do it.
Because they're not. I know that for University of Oklahoma.
Exactly. I know that for a fact that they don't want to do that. They a lot of them. Although they like the football team, they love Oklahoma University, and they prefer the team to be good. A lot of donors do, and fair enough. It's it's their money. It's how they appreciate what the school provided for them academically, and they don't think that it should all
They'd rather have like a fancy library than a good football team.
Yeah, well, I mean that sounds kind of.
No, that makes sense. But not everybody's diehard sports fans like that, which is good for them.
I don't want that to sound like degrading. Like the library's not important, but. I don't know. Maybe it just
You're
came
just
off
saying
to
from
me.
like an NIL standpoint.
Yeah.
You need the money.
And now, so what that executive order allows all the Oklahoma schools to do now is just use money that was even donated to Oklahoma University, maybe not donated to a collective or to One Oklahoma. That money can be funneled or allocated to One Oklahoma now for Joe C to use, which is going to allow a ton of money to come in to be spent for NIL purposes. And there are different school of thoughts, and I think we hit on this early. Is I think NIL is going to go from trying to buy players in the portal to just retention of your roster, and that's why you saw Oklahoma spend so much money on their own roster and not as much in the portal as a lot of people thought you would see, because they wanted to keep the guys that had been with them that have the experience and that they trust on the roster. And on top of that, I think you saw Ohio State $37 million in the negative this year on total athletic spend. They spent $297 million in the last year on athletics. They made $60 million, I guess, in revenue. Now, they say a lot of that is they only had 6 home games instead of like 7 or 8 that they usually have, so that hurt them a little bit.
That's so crazy.
That is crazy, though. I mean, but they spent a lot of money on a lot of those on the roster. Now, worth it. You won a national championship. I mean, it's pretty cool, but
I like James's comment.
James Thrice. Also, I think building a good roster is less about the money and more about making sure we don't have a few $1 million in one position group all on the sideline the whole season. That's 100% right, James. Yeah, I agree 100%. That is definitely true. Also, you don't want receivers selling all their gear away through iPhone notes whenever they leave. So, I don't know. That's also interesting. I don't know who's buying gloves for $250, but there you go. Did you see that? Angelo Anthony, when he was leaving, he posted that photo of he was selling all of his gear. So if you want to overpay for OU gear, you can go to his Twitter, I guess.
Right. It's not like that gear won a Heisman.
$250 for gloves.
Yeah. For what? 5 games?
Well, still, I think just even if they were brand new, $250.
What are they made of, panda?
Just go with it.
Interesting. I didn't know. I didn't see that, but admittedly, I really don't follow. I feel like a lot of players.
See, I have my nose to the grindstone. I'm tapped in with the culture, with the university.
Okay.
But no,
I didn't see it. Also, I have been very, very much limiting my social media intake.
You've been reading a lot.
I have been reading. Yes, I can read, if anybody wants to make that comment.
Grade level.
That's not nice. It's okay. He hyped me up earlier with my academics, so I can read.
No, she reads really well. I can't believe Ruben saying that. She reads well. It's like a loaded of like you apparently can't.
But no, I'm not a reader. I was a reader when I was like little. Like we had to make AR points. I always had to have a ton because I read higher than level. Thank you. And so I used to read a lot when I was younger. And then, like, once we got out of that AR point, if y'all know what I'm talking about when I say AR point.
Accelerated reader points?
Yeah. Once we got out of that, I didn't really read anymore. And then I kind of, like, off and on went through kicks. But finally, this year, I was, like, going to read more, limit social media. Like, it just was causing too much anxiety, too many people fighting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did need it. So I've been trying to read more. And I've read 4 books so far, which is a lot for me in a month period, essentially. And I really didn't even start reading because I decided I wanted to do that like second week of January. But I read 4 books. And no, not like The Cat in the Hat, like novels.
Real books.
Like real books.
Big, what's the author?
I'm not like I've read like Nicholas Sparks, but it's because I have a whole there's a huge part
You've been reading other
in a
books,
bookshelf that was like dedicated to books I bought of his like 10 years ago and have never read, so I need to get on that. But I'm now on my second one of his.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just trying to, a lot of people have been offering me book suggestions, but I have so many on my bookshelf that I haven't read that I need to get through those first. But I digress.
Oklahoma men's basketball wins this weekend.
Yeah.
Has a great game.
Hold on, let me pull up my notes.
And then the women's team also won.
Women's team won.
The gymnastics has a meet Friday.
Gymnastics does have a meet Friday at 7:45 against Arkansas, who is also a ranked team.
What are they ranked?
My bestie and 16.
Here's the thing: are we getting 10s or not? Why are we not getting 10s?
10. I think it's because people got so mad at them overscoring OU the past season or two. That's like
overscoring.
Now
OU.
They're nitpicky. I think Livy Dunn like had a recent tweet about it, essentially like how nitpicky they're being. But honestly, I don't care. OU's still scoring higher than everybody else, so doing great. But still good meet. I will be there. I'm excited. I like watching it in person. But they did go against number 10 ranked Alabama this past week, and it was really pretty close meet up until the last rotation. OU was on the beam, absolutely rocked the beam, which beam makes me nervous. And then of course Alabama also fell apart on the floor. Like they had girls hopping out of bounds, falling on their booties. It was bad. Like I felt bad for them. But even if they had performed well, we performed so well on beam, it wasn't going to matter. So they had a fantastic time there. OU women were against Georgia. They won by 31 points, which is great. They had 11 different scores, so 11 different people on the team scored points, 4 of whom were in double digits. So it's pretty good overall.
Heck yeah.
The shooting was remarkably better from the South Carolina game. Remarkably, again, it doesn't remarkably better than 0% from the 3 the first quarter in South Carolina. It's not hard to do. And 20% from the field, but they shot a lot better. They were better with sharing the ball. They had 19 assists, which is great. They had good rebounding as well. Now, I will say, I'm going to nitpick here. Still had 17 turnovers.
Yeah, well, that's not nitpicking. That's bad.
When you've been averaging 21 or more than that.
21.
When you've been averaging more than that, of course, it's better to only have 17, but it's still not going to get it done because at the end of the day, Georgia still scored 20 points from those 17 turnovers, which was still essentially a third of their points. So the stat continues to be for OU women that we are giving 1/3 of our opponent's points off of turnovers. So every time we play a team, we can almost guarantee we're going to give 1/3 of the points off turnovers.
It's crazy.
Which you take those out, they're essentially not undefeated. They probably still lose to South Carolina, but you essentially take those out, we're almost undefeated with the loss to South Carolina.
Yeah.
Instead of having, I believe, 3 conference losses.
And I'm talking and absolutely just.
Right, but slowly but surely. And Jenny B, like she's been going on the record saying like we just have to take care of the ball. Like there's nothing much more than I can do or say. Sorry, I'm irritated. Like
right, and
they just have to be better with it, and they should be. They're older team, so they need to know. It's just making wild, bad decisions. Like
it is.
I'll see a girl like going to get a fast break, and she has a girl at the court, but between her are like 2 other defenders, and she's trying to make this cross-court pass. It's just not a good decision. Like you have to make you gotta like Joe Montana that thing just right on the money.
Joe Montana.
And it's just you just don't do it. But men played Arkansas, which is a game we almost went to with our Arkansas friends, but it kind of just fell through. And they did get the win, got the dub, and very good. Where are the women ranked? The women basketball team was ranked number 15 in the nation, I believe. Now, if you're talking about gymnastics, they are number 1. But either way, both teams quite good.
Softball team's catching smoke. Oh, you weren't done with yours. My bad.
I wasn't.
Go ahead.
OU men faced off against Arkansas, which if you didn't watch the game, it was an entertaining game. Very back and forth. OU and Arkansas to me were very similar with how they played. Scoring droughts, turnovers.
That doesn't sound like good basketball.
There wasn't very good basketball at the end. But we ended up coming out with the win. I mean, it literally came down to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
They called a very terrible illegal screen at the end when we had the ball to kind of maybe essentially close it out with a shot when we were only up by one. Called a very terrible illegal screen, which was it probably. But what also during the course of the game, there were other times I was like, well, there's a hip out there, or there's another hip out there. Like, they didn't call it all game. So it was a weird moment for it, but, you know, neither here nor there. Moors and Fears. Moore and Fears had 13 and 16 points, respectively. So Jeremiah Fears coming back on. Which I mentioned, like, Arkansas and OU are being very equivalent teams. If you look at the stats, almost across the board, like, the numbers were almost equal. So it was just back and forth. Could have been anybody's game at that point. It just came down to a shot here, a shot there, a turnover here, a turnover there. And besides the point, I do not like the slobber hog.
The what?
Slobber hog. The retro slobber hog.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So in the middle of their court, where the Razorback is, there's a retro slobber hog. They call it the retro. It's a retro. It's like a throwback.
Slobber hog?
Slobber hog.
Sounded like you were saying slobber hawk.
Close enough. Slobber hog. I don't like it. I literally messaged my friends. I was like, I don't like this hog. I don't like this logo. They're like, we love it. It's great. It's awesome. I'm like, he looks like he has mange.
Well.
And he looks like sick. And he looks like, okay, so you know, have y'all seen The Lion King?
Looks like an Arkansas. It's terrible.
Do not say that. We're going to get banned. But, darn it.
I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
But, y'all know on The Lion King, y'all know Ed? The dumb hyena?
What does he remind you of?
It's the slobber hog. That's what he looked like.
The dumb hyena.
The dumb hyena, because he's like, that's what the slobber hog looks like. I don't like it. That's not my call, clearly. Arkansas fans like it, you know, whatever. But, no, not Pumbaa. No. I'm not Ed. Just the way his tongue's out and he's dumb. Yeah. Like, that's what the slobber hog looks like. Looks like he has mange, that he's sick, and not a very intelligent. But, I don't know. It just, look it up. Retro slobber hog. Not a fan.
Yeah.
Their logo now looks good. He looks tough and strong and not like he's about to give out on the next hunt. No, neither here nor there. What were you saying, though? You're asking me.
No, I'm saying softball is starting to gear up. They play in, I think, a couple weeks, right?
Yeah, I think they're ranked preseason 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Because there's like Florida or Tennessee. I'll be honest. I don't care about preseason rankings. I don't care. In the, what is it? Is it?
There's 2 different ones. There's like softball, like Flow Sports, and then softball.
Is it Santa Sharp? Let me tell you, we don't care. Is that Stephen A. Smith?
That's Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith. He's like, let me tell you, we don't care. That's how I feel about preseason rankings. I do not care. Because at the end of the day, it means nothing. And honestly, OU fans like get upset about preseason rankings. I think it's fair. We lost like 7 out of 9 starters.
Yeah, they're ranked number 4, and they lost 7 out of 9
We lost
starters.
our ace pitchers. Like, I think it's fair to give us a top 5 ranking.
Well,
honestly,
you know, and
do I think we'll probably end up still, you know, being great and we have a lot of young talent? Yeah, probably.
Well,
but
and here's
preseason. Fair.
Here's something a lot of people just are forgetting, and if you don't really follow the game closely, you won't really realize Patty Gasso is a good coach.
You'll say it if no one else will.
And I'll go out on a limb and I'll stick up for her when no one else will. I think she's a good coach. I think she deserves the accolade she gets. I know a lot of people are afraid to say that right now.
Natty Patty.
But as I'm, you know, I've watched a ton of softball, and I can tell you one thing I've learned watching all the softball I've watched: Patty figures it out.
Patty is playing chess, and everybody else playing checkers.
You know, now I love second guessing who she has pinch hitting or pitching inning. I love that, but it is what it is.
Patty's the queen. But speaking of other sports, the men play Texas A&M on tomorrow.
Tuesday?
Tomorrow at 8. Is it 28th, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. You're like, huh? Tomorrow, Tuesday, at 8. Ugh, that's like my bedtime. But it's better than 9. And then the women play Thursday at 6 against LSU, which will be we're number 13 now. We were 15. 13-7 matchup. LSU is 7th.
There you go.
this Patty character might have what it
James
takes.
Thrice said, I like James can appreciate when someone speaks up for those that are, not appreciated in the college sport world.
The woman with a statue in front of a stadium and Patty's Palace, Natty Patty.
I thought this was a football show. It is. It predominantly is. We're kind of winding it down. I have to do some work, so we had to shorten it. And we try to do at the end of every show just some other general Oklahoma sports, just to keep people up to date on what's going on. I'm not only in football, but also just Oklahoma athletics in general.
Because there's plenty of us who like other things besides football.
Well, and there's a obviously, you can only cover so much with the off-season football, and what's going on, and a lot of outlets do a good job of having beat writers and stuff, and on the site, and we try to talk about that a lot, but also it's we want to keep it interesting. We don't want to just have the same thing every week when there's not news breaking. So we're thinking of some ideas, some other segments to add to the show. T has a funny idea that we're going to try to make work coming up, maybe hopefully in the next week or so. But if you guys have any ideas for segments, we're thinking about maybe doing like a top 5 Sooners will miss the most, top 5 we're looking forward to next year, different things of that sort. If you have any suggestions, let us know. We're happy to add them to the show if we find them intriguing as well. But other than that, we really have just been thinking about.
We said we're gonna have a shorter show. We're still at about an hour.
Yeah, 45 minutes now. We went an hour and 40 minutes last week.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I got to do some stuff for my job, and you got to probably relax after spending a whole day with a bunch of evaling little kids for speech issues, which would drive me crazy. So, like we always say every week, we really appreciate all of you watching. It means a lot that you will take time. Make sure you're praying for people still dealing with the fire issues out in California. God bless you all, and I hope you all have a great rest of the week.
Yep. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, yes. And throw a comment in the comment section. It takes 2 seconds. Just say Boomer or Sooner, please. It really helps us out, actually, funny enough. It really does push the video out for the algorithm a lot. So throw a like, comment, and we will see you next Monday. Thanks.